Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of the Daily Debate. I'm your host for tonight, Mohammed Abdurrahim, and tonight's main topic will be the role of technology in advancing food security and enhancing food security, with a special case study on Egypt. First, as always, the top stories here in the debate. As His Excellency the President received a phone call from Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Mohammed al-Shenawi said the call tackled ways to enhance bilateral ties between Egypt and Russia in all areas of common interest with regard to a project of establishing a Russian economic zone and a Dab'a nuclear power plant. The spokesman said the two leaders also discussed regional developments, especially the situation in Gaza. During their phone conversation, President al-Sisi reviewed efforts exerted by Egypt since October 2023 in partnership with Qatar and the US to reach a ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip. For his part, the Russian president stressed on his constant keenness to communicate and coordinate efforts with President al-Sisi, expressing his appreciation to Egypt's pivotal role in reaching the ceasefire agreement. The call between al-Sisi and Putin also addressed developments in Lebanon, Sudan, and Libya, besides the ongoing war in the Ukraine. And President al-Sisi on Tuesday said the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, plays a crucial role, being the body that brings together regional and international parties at one point and active parties at the other point in the field of sea freight. During his meeting with visiting IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez, the President expressed his keenness to achieve calm in the Middle East region. The meeting tackled environmental and climate change issues, as well as renewable energy related topics, and efforts to turn Egypt into an international center for the production of green hydrogen. Means of boosting the role of the IMO for transferring international expertise in this regard was also discussed. The talks further centered on the latest developments in Bab el-Mandeb Strait and means of restoring security to this area in light of its significance to international maritime trade routes. Those were our top stories here in the debate, and as we told you, our main topic for tonight is the role played by technology in enhancing food security. First, we'll watch a report on the issue and how technology is changing the face of farming in Egypt, and then we'll come back and introduce you to our distinguished guests with us here in the studio and start our discussion on the topic. Please stay with us.
Initiatives using new technologies for agriculture have recently emerged to support farmers dealing with the impacts of climate change in Egypt. Global warming stands to curb food production as farmland becomes more susceptible to higher temperatures and lower rainfall in a country where 25% of the labor force is employed in agriculture. Technology can equip farmers with weather predictions and issues related to irrigation, fertilization and other climate change adaptation guidelines based on the crop type, location and cultivation date. This can take place through early warning climate systems delivering information to subscribed farmers in a simple language via SMS and relying on meteorological stations that collect data and run it by global and regional models to verify it, combining long and short-term trends to ensure that there aren't any errors. The government is striving to reclaim 4 million fadans by 2025-26 with the aim of attaining self-sufficiency and strengthening its position as a major supporter of food security in the region, as the appropriate locations for these lands have been identified and the implementation of a number of projects has already begun. Intensive work is underway to reclaim and cultivate these areas. Ministry of Agriculture is working to provide self-sufficiency for all agricultural goods and products and has achieved remarkable progress in this regard. There are plans to expand cotton production and focus on manufacturing processes to maximize the benefit from local cotton and exports to increase the market value. The state has been exerting strenuous efforts to achieve food security and self-sufficiency of grains, as the farming sector contributes 15% of the GDP and 25% of employment. This sector provides raw materials to most industries, pointing out that Egypt's national security is linked to its food security. The state takes care of Egyptian farmers to help them achieve food security and high-quality productivity. The state believes in the importance of enhancing regional cooperation to address the common challenges hindering the sustainable development, foremost among which are poverty and food insecurity. Despite Africa's rich natural and human resources, the continent still faces significant challenges that require collective efforts to achieve the desired transformation. Egypt, within the framework of its presidency of the African Union and under Vision 2063, has prioritized food security whilst also working to promote the use of modern agricultural technology, support innovation and increase investments in the agricultural sector, with a focus on building the capacities of African youth and supporting small and medium enterprises in this vital sector.
Welcome back, and many thanks to Angie Meher and Ayman Abdel Khaled for this report. Time now to introduce you to our dear distinguished guest with us here in the studio, Dr. Khaled Yossef, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Navigation and Space Sciences, Beni Suef University. Dr. Yossef, always a great pleasure to have you with us. Thanks very much for being here. So, Dr. Yossef, how does technology play an active role in enhancing food security?
The most important title here is the food security, which is a title that is very strategic to our country and to also the world, because today the total land serving the population might not be enough to give the, let's say, the yield that is demanded by the population today. So it's not only Egypt, it's the world. And the population in Egypt is also another special case, because we have a population of 120 million person on this ground need to be secured in terms of food, in terms of water as well. So now it comes to the big question mark that is raised also by His Excellency the President when he said that there is today, how many, let's say, the area of the land that is serving the population versus the area of the land that was serving the population like 50 years ago. You can see that 50 years ago we have 4 or 5 million feed-ins serving people in terms of 30 million people 50 years ago. Today we have 120 million people served by 8 to 10 million feed-ins, which means that if you have in the past a third feed-in serving one person, today the case is totally different. So this is the risk.
We need to more than double, actually, the production if we were to be at the same level of 50 years ago. More than double.
5 times. 5 times.
Yeah, 5 times. I mean, but to double the... 5 times?
5 times, because you have like 30 million, now you have 120 million.
Yeah, so you need to quadruple what you used to have.
Yeah.
You had 5.
Yeah.
You needed to reach 20.
Yeah, and
but you now have 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant by more than double.
Yeah.
From 8, 9 to 20.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. 2.5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5
and
times.
so, one of the
Is that possible?
One of the solutions is the horizontal expansion, which means that we need to, let's say, growing up and expanding and making more lands to be suitable for agriculture and prepare this. And this is also constrained by the issue of the water. So we need to secure the water that is needed to play it this way. And the other option is what we call the vertical irrigations or the vertical agriculture, which means that we need to increase the capability of the meter square to give more yield.
Yeah.
So instead
That's
of...
very important. Is that what's called production efficiency?
That's the production efficiency.
Okay. And that's where technology
and here comes the role of the
plays
technology.
a big role.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when it is the matter of increasing the production, because first if we define the problem and we know what is the issue and what is the goal that is needed as a result of having this problem, so we state our problem and we define our goals, then the objective today, the goal is to increase the production quadruple, 4 times. To achieve this, we now conclude that it's difficult to make this expansion using the classical way by horizontal expansion. So the solution is the vertical expansion. When you go to the vertical expansion,
where technology comes
and that's the technology. So the vertical expansion means the increase of the production of the meter square of the land to give 4 times the capacity, if it could do this, versus the capacity that was provided before, 30, 40 years ago.
Again, is that possible? 4 times?
Yeah, it's possible using several types of technologies and models. We succeed to increase today the production by 40–50% of the baseline production when we do some activities on the desalination of water, for example, on some water treatment technologies, which increase the recycle of the water, and so it reduces the waste of the water and the need to get more water. Also the technologies of the fertilization and the technologies of the understanding, what we call it the precision agriculture. The precision agriculture means that the soil can comprehend and understand and then define its needs of the minerals and the water without the need of a farmer that can have the experience to do this. Maybe it deviates from a farmer to another because of the experience point of view. So the problem here is, or let's say the challenge here is that we have the technology that can do this, and we apply this practically. We have case studies, we have use cases that is already implemented and practically used in Egypt. And for example, one of the crops we succeed to increase the production of this crop by 35% higher than the baseline production out of the same land under the same conditions, just by tuning the level of the minerals and the level of the what we call the desalination, which is the salinity of the water, to be able to understand the relationship between the salinity and the crop yield. For example, it is a big story, but at the end of the day, there is a relation, there is an equation, and this relation, if we understand it,
what's that crop?
The crops that we use tomato, for example. So we can, because we have strategic crops in Egypt, and we need to
increase the production
of these strategic crops.
Now, Dr. Yossef, to what extent technological innovations which depend on remote sensing techniques and geographical database can play a role here?
So the challenge is when you talk about the production and the increase of the production or the efficiency of the production, you have to consider as well another important thing, another important dimension, which is how to control that you do not lose the production due to maybe a syndromes or a disease or whatsoever. So if you can control this, then this means that you save your potentials, and also on the other side you increase your production. The remote sensing plays an important role because we have remote sensing at different levels. We have remote sensing at the satellite level, we have remote sensing at the in-situ measurements that is done on ground. And when we talk about the upper level, you can imagine that we have a spectral signature that is detected and calculated for each type of crop and for each type of soil. So we can, for example, differentiate between the sandy soil, the climate soil, and the other type of soils, and we can detect the level of the moisture in the soil remotely, and we can detect the need of this soil to be watered or not, to be irrigated or not. All of this can be done from the remote sensing. The remote sensing capacity is not to detect. You can detect from the ground. But if you have millions of cubic meter square of lands, and you need to cover these lands in a short time, in let's say a holistic view, from a helicopter view, then you need to have some sort of techniques that can give you this capacity and this capability in an easy way and holistic way. So that's the role of the remote sensing, to control the infections, to enhance the use of the resources, and to help in what we call the vertical agriculture, the term that we defined at the beginning.
Understood. And geographical database?
Geographical database is a part of the geographic information system, which we map everything on a map in terms of longitudes and latitudes. So you can segment the lands into polygons, and the polygons you can define which type of crop in this polygon, what is the needs of water, what is the need of, let's say, the regime of pesticides, if you use pesticides. All of these are important factors to link it with the reality, and so to ensure that you have a complemented irrigation system and a complemented fertilization system as well.
And I guess that you space navigation scientists have a role to play in this. I mean,
we have a role from the ground and from the space as well. From the ground, because again, the probes that is used to measure this type of minerals in the soil, because we focus in the soil usually on 3 or 5 type of minerals. This is the most important to any plant, which is the nitrous components, the phosphorus components, and the potassium components. And we link this with the type of the crop. Also, we link this with the needs of the water according to the crop cycle in the irrigation side. This is important to detect this. And to early detect this means that you use the right quantity of water to irrigate the right type of plant at the right time. So you have the time factor, you have the type of the plant factor, and you have the resources that you are using as well. Also, you don't want to stress the soil, because the soil has a lifetime. Most of the people doesn't know that soil has a lifetime. And if you stress the soil, it means that you are impacting negatively the yield as well. So you need to make sure that using wrong volumes and quantities of water means you are stressing your soil.
Well, again, what do you mean that the soil has a lifetime? Yeah, very interesting.
The lifetime of...
As you said, most people don't. I didn't know that. What do you mean
the productivity of the soil can be aged if you are not keeping the right way to deal with the soil.
Right.
So,
but the soil will remain.
No, it loses some of its fertility. The soil will remain, but the fertility of the soil is going to be the same, and so the growth and the production out of the soil is not going to be the same. Like the trees, for example. If you have a tree, is it producing at the first age like it produced at the old age?
Of course not.
No. So you have a difference here. So when you
but I guess the cycle of the lifetime of the soil is...
It's
very
long.
big,
it's long, yes. It's long. But keep in mind that the soil can be defertilized, and which means that if you go to the infertility of the soil, means there is no production out of the soil. You can see several cases like this.
Well, I wonder when you drop something like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 nuclear bombs, say you're Israel, and you do that on Gaza. On Gaza's soil, what will Gaza's soil look like?
We'll lose a lot of parameters of the soil for sure, and that is a big issue. So it's not only killing people; it's killing plants, killing food, killing
life.
Killing life. This is the future. So our soil is the future of our next generations, and so on.
So the Israeli genocide was a genocide on all means, not just...
the plant, the people, everything.
Dr. Yossef, of course, climate change is a big challenge to food security. So, and surely there are important adaptation strategies and some techniques that scientists use today to try to limit the effects of global warming.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about this?
About the agriculture side, there is a big role to play, because we have what we call the regenerative agriculture. That's a key topic that is being adopted today by big organizations. We have to take it very serious that the organic agriculture is much more important, not only for our health, but for the health of our climate. So avoidance of the use of pesticides, going more to the organic way of treating our soil, and keeping the soil in a good and healthy form. This is very important. The soil has a lot of organic matters that should be preserved in a way or another. Also, the soil play a role which is very important, which we call the carbon sequestration, which means it sequestrates a lot of carbon dioxide instead of going to the environment. It is sequestrated in the soil, and it is measured today. So the plant has a big role. The first rule that all of us know, that the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So growing a tree is a good impact to the environment. That's the classical rule that all of us know. But there is another rule that is also very important, like this rule. One of these rules are the carbon sequestration, which I mentioned, how to make the carbon sequestrated in the soil. The soil organic matters is going to be improved by doing this, and the environment is going to be saved as well. So this is another factor which is important. The equivalent carbon footprint that is given and released to the environment as a result of using such type of technologies is impacted by more than threefold times for versus the volume of carbon dioxide that is generated in the normal way. Also, the extensive use of the pesticides should be avoided, and this is very important if we go to the organic side. When do we need to use the pesticide? The pesticide can be used on a scheduled way, like it is used today. So we know that there are some cycles at the plant growth. The farmers should use the pesticides to ensure that there is an infection control. But we have to consider that there is a new way in the precision agriculture, if we use the technology, that it could be in a reactive way. Sorry, not in a reactive, in a proactive way. So if there is a problem and detected, then I will tell you, okay, please use more pesticide now. If there is no problems, okay, please keep the minimum that you can use now. So if we keep this feedback loop between the use of pesticides in a modernized way, in an automated way, versus the capacity and the capability to detect the hazard or to detect the risk early enough before doing this, with some other calculations like the wind speed, like the direction of the wind, all of that is important in the calculation of this. If we do all of this governance and link the space with the ground and link everything together, then we will have a governed environment for agriculture, reaching our strategic goal that we talk about. The strategic goal is the vertical agriculture is important because it's difficult to go for the horizontal expansion.
Very clear. Beautifully laid out, Dr. Yossef. Now, how is research, how important is research and development, applied research in this field to make new discoveries so as to be proactive, as you said? We
have two types of researches. We have the labs research, and we have also practical research. You know that I'm also a principal advisor for the Ministry of Military Production on the part of the Industry for Alliance.
Yes.
One of the projects that we consider it very serious in this is the project of the food security. And when we go for this project in particular, we do a big research in one of the centers here in Egypt, and this research is now being scaled up in the governmental agriculture areas, because we need to reach using the what we call the local content or contribution of the manufactured products and the technology used. We reach today a 70% more domestic contribution in the technology that is manufactured today in our factories in Egypt, and playing this role in a very consistent way, and applied and have the results as well. We will not be able to accomplish or achieve this result without having, I mean by the result here, the 70% contribution of the technology, without having 2 to 3 years of research in labs and on ground. We make the research from the level of the sensing technologies to the level of the control technologies to the level of the science behind in the algorithms and the agriculture science when it mixed with the engineering technology and also the space technology. All of this is combined together. A lot of scientists was around the table doing this exercise. And we have very smart professors in the agriculture specialty in Egypt that helps a lot in this research. And we are so close to make several publications in this worldwide on a very high level international ranked journals.
Very good.
Initiating and announcing an approach and a different strategy to apply this technology in an efficient way and also in a cost-effective way. Usually we never forget that our ultimate goal is the economic-centric approaches. So we do not invest big money in researches and the return on this investment is limited. No, we invest and we invest with a manner of think big but start small. We grow it slowly and surely all the way over 3 years, and now we have a complete system of technologies that can be applied. We link in these technologies out of this research. And by the way, this research was funded and was governed by the Ministry of Higher Education, with the Ministry of Military Production, with the Ministry of Agriculture. So several governmental entities was engaged. Now we have this technology. We start some scaling up and expansion on this.
Very good. Excellent. And after all, this is a vital topic to our future. Dr. Yossef, dear viewers, allow us to watch another report on the topic here. It is about the National Food Safety Authority Strategy 2023-2026. Let's watch and we'll come back and wrap up the discussion. Please stay with us.
Thank you.
Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli met with Tariq El-Habbi, head of the National Food Safety Authority, to review the progress made in implementing the authority's strategic plan for 2023 till 2026. The meeting focused on the plan's objectives with an aim to bolster food safety efforts, foster a conducive environment for the development of Egypt's food and agricultural production sectors, and enhance trust in Egyptian food products. Premier Madbouli emphasized the importance of monitoring the implementation of the authority's strategy. He noted the strategy seeks to protect consumer health, promote research, innovation and technology development, and improve the efficiency of human resources and infrastructure related to food control systems, or within the framework of Egypt's Sustainable Development Strategy Vision 2030. During the meeting, the officials detailed the achievements made regarding the 5 main objectives of Food Safety Authority's strategic plan. The first strategic objective focused on enhancing the culture of compliance with best practices in food safety amongst Egyptian food producers and operators, and has seen the implementation of technical inspection checklists designed to coordinate with industrial chambers for various activities. These measures are part of food safety regulations aimed at promoting sound practices and a culture of health safety consistent with preventative food safety controls. Also, awareness campaigns targeting both food producers and consumers have been launched, and specialized inspection checklists have been developed for packing stations. Simplified procedures for food facility operators registered with the authority have also been introduced, including reducing inspection rates. Regarding the second objective, which focuses on updating food safety legislation and activating supporting regulatory frameworks, the authority has prepared the initial draft of a mechanism for creating and reviewing mandatory technical regulations. This ensures greater private sector participation and transparency, which strengthens Egypt's international position in food safety legislation. As part of its commitment to transparency, the authority also launched an online version of its journal to publish legislation, decisions and research papers. The third objective promotes cooperation with trade partners and stakeholders to enhance Egypt's role as a producer of food and agricultural products and build trust in national products. The authorities working with the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations to implement an evaluation of the national food control system in the country. The fourth strategic objective involves building scientific capabilities by strengthening the authorities' labs and enhancing their role. And the fifth objective focuses on building a qualified workforce and improving food control processes.
Thanks again, Engineer Meher and Ayman Abdel Khaled, back here with Dr. Khaled Yossef. Dr. Yossef, Egypt's Vision 2030 is created in line with UN Sustainable Development Goals and aims to transform the country into a leader in many domains with a focus on digital transformation. Could you tell us how initiatives aimed at digitalizing the agricultural sector through training programs and so on can be helpful?
Yeah. Digitalization of the sector, this is a big title that has several pillars of implementations and also understanding. Because when we talk about the digitalization of the agriculture, it means not only the introduction of the technology, but also the governance of the agriculture in general, because we agree that agriculture is a scarce resource today because of the big demand versus the limited capabilities of the land. So the digitalization here is a tool that helps in this direction. So if we have a digitalization that is not that helps in this direction first, then we call this the digital transformation. So the digital transformation means how we transform the agricultural methods, ways, and approaches if we use the tool which is technology. So this is a side. But if we use digitalization just to get some insights or just to lay some good objectives, but not in the context of having a solution towards the balance between the demand and the supply, then we will not consider this a digital transformation. So we have two types of digitalization. So if we focus on the digitalization in the context of digital transformation, towards digital transformation, means how do we use the technology as a tool to transform the agriculture.
Okay.
So if we use an example of, one of the examples is precision agriculture. Precision agriculture doing what? Precision agriculture means it enables the soil to talk and to feel and to communicate this talk and feeling with a human being. And also to communicate this with its supplies and needs direct without the involvement of the human being. So if it is hungry, it will tell the fertilization process that it is hungry and it needs this type and this volume or quantities of the fertilizers of this type now.
Very interesting.
If it needs water, then it will tell the valves to open because it needs the water. Because, for example, if you have a simple landscape in the gardens, and you can in some cases witness that you have a scheduled watering of this landscape by the controllers in the gardens everywhere. But what happens if there is a rain? And it gives the needs of the water to the plant. And if you have the rain in the classical way that we have today, the valves will open and the water will operate and it will irrigate also. So the land it takes its needs out of the water. If it is smart, if it tells its needs, then if it rains and you took the complete need of the soil from water, then it will not open the valve. It will not give this signal to the valve. So it means that we ensure a consistent environment, ecosystem, And the soil is a key player in this ecosystem. Also the plant doing the same. Another example, some of the farmers go and dewatering, or let's say in an insistent way, or let's say on a purpose, they stop watering some crops at some phases to ensure more yield. This is a process that is followed by some of the farmers. It's not good, it's not bad, it's a method. So, if you ask him, okay, what is the amount of the crop that is going to be, or the yield that's going to be increased if you are doing this? How much water you should do less to give more crops at this stage? Is it efficient or not? He will not have an answer. He will tell you that, okay, this is what he understands from the books, so that is giving more yield and is giving more efficiency. But we don't have this complete understanding of the story. What is the relationship? There is no single solution fits for all cases. There is no single justification for all cases. Each crop has its different story, and each soil has its different story. And each crop in a specific soil has another different story. So you can
That's a beautiful story.
So you can imagine the variables?
Yeah.
So this is digitalization. So digitalization, it is not just a luxury. It is not just to have a mobile application and see what is happening. This is digitalization as well, but not a digital transformation of the agriculture. So we need to focus more on the digital transformation, not the classical digitalization, because this is economic, and this is more yield, and this is vertical agriculture. So that's
a beautiful way of summing it up, really. It's been very useful and very insightful. Dr. Yossef, thank you very much. Dr. Khaled Yossef, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Navigation and Space Sciences at Beni Suef University. Always a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yossef, and thank you, dear viewers, for watching us here on The Debate. Please stay with Nile TV. Goodbye.